you, Chair. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship today, and I'd like to thank the member for Middlesbrough South and East Cleveland for securing the debate today and highlighting the issue of global green finance in particular. I'd first like to extend my thoughts to all those impacted by the flooding in both China and Central Europe these past weeks. The loss of life is devastating, and the emergency response heroes have my deepest respect. It should be a wake-up call for us all about the unpredictable but inevitable impact of rising temperatures. We need serious actions urgently. Two priority areas for COP26 this autumn are to protect and restore ecosystems and to build resilient infrastructure in order to mitigate the effects of the global heating we've already seen. It's right that those are priority areas, but because we can't tackle either the nature or climate emergency without tackling the other, it's important that they're both equally thought about. Chair, I'm concerned about what the government will bring to the climate negotiations on both of these issues, because although ministers like to talk up their record on carbon and nature restoration, the reality is very far from the rhetoric. We hear a lot about the government, how they are taking unprecedented measures to restore nature, for example, but we're in an unprecedented crisis. Nature is in free fall. 41% of UK species are declining, and 1 in 10 is threatened with extinction. Faced with a shocking decline, it would be odd if there was any precedent for the action the government is taking. And frankly, that action is just simply not enough. And it's not just me who thinks this. The chair of the Environmental Audit Committee, the member for Ludlow who spoke earlier, has made comments about the government's plans for species abundance and nature restoration as toothless. The committee's recent report said there is no strategy indicating how new biodiversity policies will work together. Implementation of these policies could be piecemeal, conflicting, and smaller scale as a result. Similarly, the recent progress report of the Climate Change Committee on call for the government to publish an overarching strategy that clearly outlines the relationships and interactions between the multiple action plans in development for the natural environment, including those for peat, trees, nature and plant biosecurity. They stress that it must clearly outline how the different strategies will combine to support the government's climate change goals on both net zero and adaptation, along with the wider environment and other goals. One of the two key themes of COP26, both the CCC and EAC say that the government has no clear strategy. Without a joined up plan for the UK, how does the government hope to negotiate one for the entire United Nations? Ministers are right to say that the UK's global leadership really starts with our ambition and delivery at home. But I'm also worried that our representatives at the conference simply don't have the credibility to talk about these issues with any authority. One of the key pieces of natural infrastructure to mitigate the effects of the climate emergency is our peatlands. The CCC is clear. We need a plan to restore all blanket bogs. Instead, we see ministers putting forward legislation which simply protects 40% of our deep peats. Another piece of important natural infrastructure are our trees and woodlands. Again, the CCC is clear. We need 17% woodland cover by 2050 to meet net zero. Instead, ministers propose only 12% coverage. While a third of the UK seas are apparently protected, only 1% are well managed and only 5% of protected areas are safe from bottom trawling. And the CCC says there's been no significant improvement in the management of marine habitats since 2019. These are just some examples on adaptation. The government has made progress on only 5 out of 34 sectors in the CCC progress report. The stream of government action plans, grants and press releases are a litany of piecemeal half measures. Now the government says it will wait until after COP26 to publish its species abundance targets. Ministers should be taking a plan to the conference, leading the debate by example and pushing for ambitious targets, not waiting for an international consensus to emerge before it takes any action. Today I want to challenge the minister. What plans is she taking to COP26 for nature recovery? What ambitious targets will she press for at the negotiating table? And how will she establish Britain as the leading light in this debate? I know this is something my constituents care deeply about. Every month I meet with them to discuss different aspects of the negotiations and what they want to see coming out of COP26. They have a clear plan. If the minister doesn't, then I urge her to meet with us before the conference. If the government is out of ideas, constituents